Hello everyone, welcome back to the Reclaimed Ranch. My name is Tara and I have a few more flips for you today. Don't mind my little puppy in the background if you can hear him yipping. He just doesn't like to be in the crate while mom's working. So anyway, I got this birdhouse from a thrift store for $8, and sometimes that's the easy flips is you go find something that just needs one little thing. And I have this little finial from a spindle that I had cut off, and I'm just going to glue it on the top, and that's going to finish this piece. Simple as that. So I am using the Gorilla clear glue. You can also use E6000 or Starbond would work too. And I'm just going to put it on top and let it sit overnight, and then it's done, and I'm going to price it and put it in my booth. So sometimes that's just all it takes. Quick and easy, that's what I like. Get it in and out of my stash. But I thought it was a pretty cute little birdhouse. I sold one kind of like it recently, and it was only in my booth for 2 days maybe. So these are easy sellers. And then the next project I have is gonna be, I had this huge charcuterie board or cutting board, brand new. It was still in the cellophane packaging, and it was $10.29. And so I want to play around with some of the paint inlays from IOD. This is Chateau, and there's a really pretty woman that is really long. I thought would fit perfectly on here. So with the paint inlays, what you want to do is cut it pretty close to your image there, and then make sure you set it all out and have it where you want it, just to make sure everything's going to fit. And by doing this, I found that I forgot to cut out a piece. You can see right where my left hand is there. There's an opening. And so then I was like, oh no, now I got to go back and try and find it in the inlay. It wasn't too bad though. So I cut it out, and then I went ahead and just put one coat of the beadboard from DIY onto the charcuterie board, let it dry. So with the inlays, what you want to do is it's actual paint on the paper there. So there's a paint side and a grid side, and what I like to do is before I put it on my project, I flip it over so the grid side faces up, and then I spray it with my mister. That's going to allow the fibers in the paper to open up. So instead of opening up on your project and creating wrinkles, you get it done now before you place it on there, and then you have less wrinkles. So then you want to put a nice even coat of paint on, and then go ahead and start placing. You can fiddle around with it just a little bit, but for the most part, you want to get it down where it's going to be permanently. And then I use my little brayer there to help roll out the wrinkles. And the reason for a thin coat of paint, you don't want to put too thick, because when you brayer it out, it'll push it down in and make an imprint, or some people call it panty lines, where you can see the lines of where the paper is instead of the image. So by doing just a thin coat, you eliminate most of that and just use the brayer on just the image part. So then when you're done, you spritz it down with water again, let it dry completely. Sometimes it takes about 20-30 minutes. So when it dries, you can see it changes to that light color. But now I'm spritzing it with water again. It's going to darken up that color. And then you let it sit for 30 seconds. So we're going to fast forward here a little bit. But once it's ready to go, you just take a corner and slowly peel off the paper there, and you get your beautiful image. Now you can use these inlays up to 3 times, so you always want to save your pieces. I just flip them over and let them dry out, and each time you use it, it's going to be more distressed looking. So you want to keep that in mind, but that's what I love. I love the distressed look. So I'm just going to slowly peel down as we go, and sometimes you can tell where the paint did not adhere into my white beadboard paint, like down on the lower left corner. When I take that piece off on the circle part, you'll see it missed some, but that's okay. It's just part of the process. I could go back and put like a clear top coat in that one little area and reapply, but I like the distressed look. I like that it's old looking, and it's this last piece here when I pull it down right there on that left corner. So that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and heat dry it, and then the way you want to seal this is you don't want to paint anything on it because it can smear that paint. So I put 50-50 of water and Big Top from DIY in a spritz bottle, and then I spray on a couple coats. Let those dry, and then I go back over after I get a couple coats of this on with my brush and my top coat. You can use poly, you can use Big Top, you can use whatever. Fusion's got top coats too. Sweet Pickins top coat matte finish. And so that's that project. So this next one I got I think it's for a recipe, for a book maybe, to hold your recipe book. It was just wood, so I painted it with DIY's faded burlap. And we're going to do the same thing. This is an inlay from the Melange inlay, paint inlay by IOD. So this is a pretty big size one, so just got to work carefully. I'm just going to lift it up a couple times, but for the most part you want to try and get it close to where you want it. And then I'm going to use my hand to go from the middle out, and then try and get most of those bubbles out, and then I'll use my brayer. And if you don't have a brayer, you can also use saran wrap just in a ball. You can just use that saran wrap and it'll slowly work out those bubbles. So again, we're going to get the brayer, do that, spritz it down, and then let it sit and dry. I found that if I got too impatient with these, using the heat gun to dry them, sometimes they just didn't turn out as well. So I just let it dry on its own, and then now it's ready. So we're going to spritz it again, let it sit for 30 seconds. And this one came out absolutely perfect. Like, all of the little tiny words and everything was just a beautiful mirrored image. And so I'm just going to start it nice and slow and then just work it down. This is just so satisfying where you see this complete mirror image. And then again, for sealing, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do my 50-50 water and Big Top and spritz a couple coats first, let it dry overnight, and then I'll come back and put a nice top coat on with the brush. And sometimes, like you see my finger there, removing some of those panty lines, kind of those thick areas, you can sand them down or kind of flatten them out if they get wet. So those are good tips to keep in mind. And I've had this pillowcase for I don't know how long. I bought it at a thrift store. So I'm going to use chrysanthemums and the IOD stamps and finally make a spring pillow. So I have never used this set, so I have to season it first, and you always want to season it by using some sandpaper, just some 220 grit sandpaper, and just lightly rub over it. And that's going to give it some grip for that ink to hold on to. I use my little thin mount to help place it on there, and I push down with one hand, keep it down, and then use my other fingers to push down. So when you're working with fabric and ink, you want to make sure to put enough ink on that it soaks through. And inside I have a piece of plastic so that it doesn't soak completely through the back. But this is the fun part. You just get creative and we're able to do whatever. The stamp set's just gorgeous. Can't believe I haven't used it before now. And the ink that I'm using is the IOD ink in China Blue. And the green one is called New Grass. And they are permanent inks. So the IOD stamps come with masks, is what they're called. And all the stamps have their own mask so that you can make more lifelike images. So I'm going to mask up the flowers, and when I put the leaves on, when I put them down with the ink, it's going to look like the leaves are in the back of the flowers, which makes it kind of nice. So you're not stamping over the top of your flowers that are already there. So I'm going to place it where I want to go, and you can see where it's covering over the mask, so that's not going to be on that part. And then I always use a baby wipe and just immediately clean off the masks and the stamps. But you can see there how it's kind of behind the petals, so that makes it a cool effect. I'm going to do the other side and add some leaves kind of all over the pillow just to give it another pop of color. When I'm done applying all of my stamps, I am going to use my Cricut heat press to set the ink. You don't have to have a heat press to do this. Just a regular everyday iron will do the same job. You want to make sure you have it on high, and then you put it on for about 20 or 30 seconds over the entire pillowcase. And then it's all set. And then I usually use like Scotch Guard or something to spray over just to keep it from, or just to get it a little more stain resistant. And so here are the final projects for today. Let me know what you think. I just love this big breadboard. Turned out awesome, I think. She just is a perfect size for that. And this little recipe holder or book holder or whatever. And the pillow was fun. Easy, quick and easy. Can't believe it's just been sitting there for over a year. And of course, I love a quick flip. So just adding just that little tiny finial just gave it the final touch, and now it's ready for the booth. So let me know what you guys think. Have a great weekend, and I will see you back next week for some more flips. Bye.